Imagine for a moment that tomorrow morning a pharmaceutical company announces they have invented a new pill. This pill has zero negative side effects, yet clinical trials prove it can dramatically delay mortality, preserve your memory, protect your nervous system from decay, and practically guarantee your physical independence well into your 80s and 90s. People would empty their bank accounts for a 30-day supply. It would be the greatest medical breakthrough in human history.
And the profound irony is that this intervention already exists, but because it requires sweat instead of a glass of water, we completely underestimate it. For decades, we have fundamentally misunderstood what exercise actually is. We've boxed it into this incredibly narrow category of weight loss, aesthetics, or something you do just to look good for a summer vacation. But when you look at the raw data in modern longevity science, exercise is not a cosmetic tool. It is, without exaggeration, the most potent biological upgrade system we currently possess.
That shift in perspective is exactly what we need to unpack today. Because when we talk about longevity, there is a massive difference between simply not dying and actually living well. We have normalized this tragic narrative that getting older automatically means becoming frail, losing your balance, and ending up isolated in a hospital bed. But you look at the research and it forces you to ask a very uncomfortable question. How much of what we call aging is actually just decay from a lack of physical stimulus?
That is perhaps the most important distinction in modern medicine. Aging is the chronological passing of time which we cannot stop. Decay, however, is the progressive loss of physiological reserve, and that is highly optional. To prevent that decay, longevity-focused exercise cannot be just random jogging or lifting weights aimlessly. It requires a highly specific architecture. We are looking at 4 critical pillars of survival. Together, they don't just add years to your life, they add life to your years.
Let's dive straight into the foundation then. The first pillar is one that almost no one brags about on social media, yet it might be the most crucial for long-term independence. Stability. People love to focus on how much they can lift, but if you don't have stability, isn't building strength essentially like building a mansion on top of a swamp?
That is a perfect analogy. Stability is the silent guardian of human movement. It encompasses your balance, your joint control, your proprioception, and the deep integration of your nervous system. As we age, the loss of stability is what leads to the catastrophic fall. In geriatric medicine, a fall is not just an accident. It is often a devastating biological event that triggers a rapid downward spiral in health and mortality. If your nervous system cannot control your body in space, any power or strength you have actually becomes a liability. Stability training protects your mobility, your confidence, and ultimately, your freedom.
It's fascinating because it shifts the goalpost. The goal isn't to become an elite gymnast. The goal is to be able to catch yourself when you trip on a curb at age 75, which brings us perfectly to the second pillar, strength. For a long time, muscle was viewed as purely aesthetic tissue, but the longevity field is now obsessed with muscle, treating it almost like an endocrine organ. Why is muscle so critical to survival?
Because muscle is quite literally your metabolic armor. As humans age, we face a condition called sarcopenia, which is the age-related loss of muscle mass and function. This isn't just about getting weaker. Muscle is the primary sink for glucose in your body. When you lose muscle, you become highly susceptible to insulin resistance, metabolic dysfunction, and frailty. Strength determines whether you can carry your groceries, pick up your grandchildren, or simply stand up from a chair unassisted. When we look at all-cause mortality, muscular strength is one of the strongest inverse predictors. The stronger you are, the harder you are to kill.
I love that phrase. Metabolic armor, it totally reframes resistance training. You aren't just lifting weights, you are engaging in anti-fragility training. You are forcing the body to adapt to a stressor so that it doesn't shatter when life inevitably applies stress. But while strength gives us the armor, we also need the engine. That leads us to the third pillar, which has become a massive topic lately. Zone 2, aerobic efficiency.
Yes, and it deserves all the attention it is getting. Zone 2 refers to a moderate intensity of cardiovascular exercise where you are working, but you can still comfortably hold a conversation. You aren't gasping for air. But beneath the surface, at a microscopic level, something magical is happening. You are stimulating your mitochondria, the energy-producing factories inside your cells. Modern sedentary lifestyles leave our mitochondria severely understimulated, which leads to metabolic gridlock. Zone 2 training increases mitochondrial density and efficiency. It teaches your body how to utilize fat for fuel and builds immense metabolic resilience.
So it's a misconception to look at Zone 2 as just easy cardio for recovery. It is actually cellular medicine. You are literally building a bigger, more efficient engine. But if Zone 2 is the foundation of the aerobic engine, the fourth pillar has to be the absolute top speed. I am talking about VO2 max. The data coming out around VO2 max and lifespan is absolutely staggering. It almost looks like a crystal ball for mortality.
It truly is. VO2 max is a measurement of your body's maximal capacity to utilize oxygen under extreme physical stress. It is the ultimate ceiling of your biological capacity, and the data is unequivocal. Having a high VO2 max is arguably the single strongest predictor of a long, healthy life. In some massive epidemiological studies, having a low cardiorespiratory fitness level carries a mortality risk that is comparable to, or even worse than, smoking or having type 2 diabetes.
That is a shocking comparison. We spend billions of dollars trying to cure chronic diseases, yet simply pushing our cardiovascular system to its upper limits a few times a week offers a protective effect that rivals our best medical interventions. But here is the obvious friction point for most people. If we need stability, strength, zone 2, and high intensity VO2, max training, it sounds exhausting. How do we balance this without completely burning out our nervous system?
That is where the paradigm must shift from exercise as a punishment to exercise as a biological investment. And this is exactly where modern wearable technology changes the game. Longevity is not about blindly pushing yourself to exhaustion every single day. It is about the precise balance of stimulus and adaptation. The magic doesn't happen when you are lifting the weight or sprinting on the bike. The magic happens when you recover.
Right? Because if you never recover, you aren't building capacity, you are just accumulating damage. This is where tracking metrics like heart rate variability, resting heart rate, and sleep architecture becomes so incredibly powerful. It takes the guesswork out of the equation. You can literally watch your nervous system adapt in real time.
Precisely. Monitoring your HRV and your recovery scores tells you if your body is actually absorbing the training. If your HRV is tanking and your resting heart rate is climbing, your body is waving a red flag. It's telling you that today is a day for a light walk, not a heavy deadlift. The goal of the 4 pillars is sustainable progression over decades. Every single workout you do is a signal sent to your DNA. It is either a signal to build future resilience or a signal that accelerates future decline.
It makes you rethink the entire concept of health. We are so conditioned to think of health as the absence of disease. You go to the doctor, your blood work is fine, you don't have a tumor, so you are healthy. But what we are really talking about today is capacity. Health isn't just a neutral state of not being sick. It is a highly active state of possessing the physical and metabolic reserve to handle whatever life throws at you.
Exactly. And that reserve is not something you can buy, it is something you must earn. When you combine stability, strength, Zone 2 and VO2 max training, you are effectively building a biological 401k. You are depositing health span into your future, so that when you are 80 years old, you aren't just alive. You are vibrant, you are capable, you are independent.
It is a profoundly empowering message. We have so much more control over our trajectory than we were ever taught. Aging is inevitable, but decay is a choice. We don't have to surrender our vitality to the passing of time. Movement is the antidote. It truly is the closest thing humanity possesses to an anti-aging drug.
It is the ultimate prescription, and the best part is you can start filling it today.
A perfect place to leave it. The future of health is capacity. This is OXYZEN Health Intelligence. Keep moving, keep adapting, and we will see you next time.